Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising books comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, new release, The Joy of Cruising Again, as well as other fun, informative global cruise personalities. It is the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests. If you hear about a cruise that interests you, book it at www.thejoyofcruising.net. It helps support the channel through our partnership with Where's Walters Travel. We really appreciate your feedback, so leave us a text. Paul can't reply, but he may read your text on air.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul. And this week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, I am delighted to welcome Gail and Mike, a couple from UK and creators of the Sail with Gail and Mike YouTube channel, Instagram platform, and Facebook group. They are specifically from Liverpool, UK, which takes on a special significance related to the main topic of this episode. One of the most anticipated and majestic new ships of the last couple of years, Queen Anne, was recently launched by UK's Cunard, its 249th ship. Cunard announced the unprecedented decision to choose the city of Liverpool as godparent of Queen Anne, and on June 4th, 2024, Cunard held Queen Anne's official naming ceremony at the Liverpool waterfront. The gala event featured performances by Andrea Bocelli, the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra, and a fireworks display. Among the dignitaries in attendance were 5 distinguished residents of Liverpool, chosen to represent the city at the naming. One of the 5 was Melanie C., aka Shorty Spice of the Spice Girls. Oh, by the way, there were 2 other notable residents of Liverpool in the crowd, Gail and Mike. And a week or so later, they boarded Queen Anne for a 9-day cruise. Gail and Mike are members of the Joy of Cruising podcast Facebook group. And when I heard about their plans to sail on one of the first cruises on Queen Anne, I immediately reached out because I am sure many of our listeners are interested in this significant new entrant into the cruise industry. I am delighted Gail and Mike are joining us today to tell us all about their experience at the naming ceremony and their cruise on this monumental ship. Welcome, Gail and Mike, to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
And thanks for having us, Paul. It's a real pleasure.
Oh, hi.
So how you all both doing?
Well, good. We just had a nice week on Queen Anne, as you know, and we're just trying to catch up with life. You know, once you get back from a cruise, you know what it's like. It can be back to work, catching up with all the things you've missed out on while you've been away. So yeah, we're good, really good.
And you also start thinking about the next one. When's the next one?
Well, we'll go on Virgin on Resilient Lady in August.
Oh, okay. Have you been on Virgin?
So no, it's our first time, so I'm hoping to pick your brains.
Yeah, please.
You're going to give us some hints and tips.
Yeah. When we get around to it, please do, because it was. You know, my Virgin cruise a few weeks ago was my first, and I've already declared that it's my favorite cruise line.
That's interesting.
I'm ready to go back on it, but I'm booked up for the rest of the year and for 25. So
awesome.
But I have booked a Virgin cruise. That's my first cruise for 26, so it's on the new the Brilliant Lady. So, but
brilliant,
But we'll get around to all of that. Before we talk about Sail with Gail and Mike, tell our listeners about yourselves. Where you're from, where you live, how'd you meet, your professional background, anything that you would like to share.
Okay.
You go first, Gail.
All right. So we are from Liverpool. And we met long time ago, back in 1989, at a friend's wedding. and we just hit it off, and the rest is history. We've got 2 kids. Well, they're not kids. They're 25 and 28. We've got one still at home. Yeah, what was I saying is we're from Liverpool. We met at a friend's wedding in 1989, and the rest is history. We've got 2 grown-up kids, 28 and 25, and we've got a cockapoo called Ted. And yeah, I work for a bank. I've worked for them for over 30 years, so I don't know anything other than corporate banking.
And I work for a ceramic tile importer and distributor. It's not very exciting, but I've done that all my life since I left school. Been involved in tiles on various levels. So now I run like a national sort of northern area of our distribution base. So it's good. It's interesting. Love it. Love my job. Done it for longer than I care to admit.
So your both of your jobs are kind of far removed from cruising.
Totally.
When and what motivated you to create Sail with Gail and Mike?
Well, this started, we had done a cruise previous, but we started sailing on a lot of the carnival ships whereby they get built in Italy, and then they used to sail them around the Med for the first 6 months before they brought them over to America. So we jumped on a couple of them. We were on Breeze.
Yeah. And then Sunshine
Was a refit.
I think it was original was Carnival. I think it was original Carnival Destiny. I think Sunshine was, and they got that. So that was revamped to almost like a new ship. And we've also done Vista as well. So we tend to target new ships when they're made in Europe, and then they obviously before they relocate back to the States.
Yeah.
But Carnival was at the time had a big program of shipbuilding in Europe, and we took advantage of it. And we loved all the Carnival ships, didn't we?
Yeah, and because we were going on it quite new and fresh, there was no YouTubes of the ship, so I decided to just do my own and post them for memories, really, in the beginning, but then just to share them with other people, and we got quite a following from America at that point.
But it wasn't Sail with Gail and Mike at that point; it was just Gail's own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And then. So that was 2012 when we started on with Carnival Breeze, and then after COVID, really, I think a lot of COVID changed a lot of people's sort of approach to what they do with YouTube, etc. So we ended up watching lots of YouTube videos during COVID because there wasn't much really else to do, and all the guys you've been speaking to over the podcasts, they sort of changed their approach during COVID. And we spent lots of time watching those. And I thought, because we've got lots of footage on our hard drive at home of cruises right down over the years, let's start putting a few on and see how we get on. So that's how it started, really. And it's just gone from there, really. So yeah, we really enjoy it, don't we?
Yeah, we really do.
Yeah, we do. It's not a bad hobby to have. I'll say it that way.
So how's Sail with Gail and Mike going? You know what?
Well, so I mean, we'd always want more subscribers and more views, but I mean, we think it's doing okay. It's a slow, steady growth, and I think it all depends on content as well. We haven't cruised at all this year until last week, so I think while you're adding content regularly, that's a natural aid to your channel progression, really. So. We've got a busier second half of the year with what we've got planned for the second half of the year. So hopefully with that will come further steady growth, really. We're a stone's throw away from getting a million views on YouTube. So that's a nice little landmark to hit. So I think the next couple of videos should get us over the line with that one. And it's all about just slow and steady and being consistent and getting stuff out there as often as you can, as regular as you can. That's the approach, I think. The right approach.
Well, give us an overview of your various platforms. So I know you're on YouTube. You're on IG, right?
Yeah, Instagram's doing well. Yeah, we pull a lot. That's probably our first place where we post stuff with stories, etc. So that's our sort of our go-to for posting daily. We've got a really productive Facebook page, which you know about because you're a member. And I've just started a new Facebook group, which is going to be more of a private group where we can evolve things into doing, going down different routes in the future. So it's doing well. I'm on Twitter as well, but Twitter's a bit Twitter's a bit more, there's not as much involvement with Twitter in that respect. And I just started putting stuff on TikTok. And I keep forgetting about TikTok. I think it's a massive untapped resource. Lots of people. It's so underused in our field with the other cruise vloggers. So I think that's a big way forward in the future is TikTok.
Tell me
But obviously
about
that's more short form material, isn't it?
Yeah,
Rather than long form.
I just got on. Well, I shouldn't say just. About maybe 3 weeks ago, I got on TikTok, and at first I was totally lost. And I still don't know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But
Does anyone?
but I have put up some short videos, and people are starting to follow me. So I must be doing something right.
Yeah.
So actually, what I tell upcoming guests like yourself, as I asked you all for photos a while back, and you sent them to me. I now say to guests, send me a few photos for promotion, and also send me, if you have any, send me a short video clip. Because I'm now on YouTube. Not YouTube,
well, that's fine.
TikTok. So if you have anything and you trust me,
I've got plenty.
Send it to me.
The thing with TikTok, when you post videos, you can do two very similar videos, similar kind of length, similar kind of content, and one will get 10,000 views, and next one will get 47 views. There's sort of I don't really know how the algorithm works, So it's still a big mystery to me, but needs must.
Yep. So let's go back to the beginning. Talk about your first cruise.
So just a little background. My parents retired, and they they went every year to Florida. They'd either do a transatlantic and stay there for a month in Venice, or they'd do a couple of cruises, and they kept coming back saying, you need to go on, take the kids. At this stage, our kids were about 13, 15. And we said, okay, we'll give it a go. So we booked a Royal Caribbean Adventure of the Seas out of Malaga just for a week, just to try it. And we absolutely loved it. The kids did too. They went in the kids club the first night. We never saw them for a week, which
made friends.
Any parent will know, if your kids are happy, your holiday's happy. And they just didn't want to get off, and it all stemmed from there. And we were just
we had the bug about 3 days in. We realised what we'd been missing out on for so long, and that was it. And we loved it. It was changed our lives really, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But we used to go on land. We just to add, we used to go on land vacation with big gangs of our friends and all their children as well. And we were the first ones to make the break into cruising. And it's taken a few years to get our friends to convince them to come. And now all our friends, like we've just been on Cunard with there was 8 of us in that party.
Oh wow!
And we're all the adults of our group who've eventually been turned to cruising as we have. So it's what's not to love about it?
That's right.
Try and convince people.
So, of those who were in your party on Queen Anne, are they all of them on the Facebook group that I'm a member of?
A couple of them are.
Okay.
A few of them aren't really into social media whatsoever as well.
Okay.
So, but 1 or 2 of them are. Yeah. We told them we're coming on anyway, so they'll be looking out for the podcast when it comes. Don't worry about
that. Good. So you are among those that got hooked immediately.
Yes.
As you know from my shows, I've been keeping an ongoing tally. Before I started keeping that tally, I surmised that 9 out of 10 who take their first cruise get hooked. Yeah. And nothing I've heard changes my thinking as far as that 9 out of 10. In fact, I haven't officially tabulated, but it's running something like 9.5 out of 10. I mean, every once in a while you'll get somebody who, it took some time,
Yeah.
But and even then, it usually is the second cruise. But almost everyone just loves it
Eventually,
immediately.
they get the bug eventually. I was
Yeah,
speaking to
yeah.
a customer of mine yesterday about cruising, and he was saying he's never fancied it. Oh, why don't you fancy it? And there's so many misconceptions about cruising, about it's for old people.
Nothing to
There's
do.
nothing to do. Nothing's further from the truth. And you urge people just to try it once. Like you say, there's a big high chance that they'll get the bug.
Yep,
So
yep,
as we all have. Yeah.
yep. So how soon after that first one did you cruise again?
It was probably the following summer, obviously, because we had a couple of kids. Money was not plentiful, so it was just our annual holiday that we did for.
Yeah, so we made it our our main family vacation for the next few years. So we did Adventure in 2011. We did Breeze 2012. We did Sunshine in 13. And then we did probably still one of our favourite cruises ever. We did Regal Princess in the summer of 2014. It was a maiden season, again, a new ship. And then we took a couple of our friends who we'd convinced to come and have a try. And then it's on the Regal Princess that they all got the bug as well. So, and so so in those early days, we were doing one a year, just as our main holiday vacation.
Mm-hmm. And in those early years, what's the first time you started blogging? You might have mentioned it
No, we
in
were
the intro.
so we were recording stuff and putting stuff on Facebook, on YouTube, just for posterity, really, for our
Right.
own ends,
For your own.
And also, we realised that you're trying to research stuff online, and new ships don't have any reviews or any footage. So we thought we'll put a few videos on. So some of the early videos were really successful. And so that was my main reason for doing YouTube. It's only really post-COVID when we saw all this explosion of cruise vloggers. We thought, well, we've got a story to tell. We've got years and years of footage of cruises that we've accrued over the years
as well,
and the experience to help people with choosing the right cruise. So that was how it all sort of started.
So you brought it up, COVID. I know that's an unpleasant topic for many, but I've been fascinated because I have run into people who a lot of them started their channel during COVID. A lot of them did great things. I've heard of someone who has run a marathon. I heard of someone who grew a garden. I even one guest, they were medically trained, and they became part of their country's vaccination program. They giving shots.
Oh wow!
So did you do anything memorable during COVID, or were you like me, climbing the walls?
Well, because as I worked for a bank, we still had to carry on. So I did, lots and lots and lots of overtime. I used to go out of this house 6 a.m. and not come back till like 7 p.m. So I spent COVID working.
So you didn't work remotely? They continued to have you come in?
Not for a long time. Probably 6 months before they got us all set up with the laptops and everything. So I used to go
in the UK. They allowed certain parts of industry just to keep going, to keep the country going, and banking was one of the sectors that you were allowed to continue to work. So fortunately, Gail was able to go and work, and she earned plenty of overtime during that time.
It's good because you didn't work.
Yeah, I was furloughed for a few months, so I couldn't. So I ended up tackling the garden, getting the garden straightened out.
That became your pastime.
Yeah, it did, and we got a hot tub. We spent lots of time in a hot tub. It was actually although there was lots of bad stuff going on, I look back at it quite fondly, for those reasons, really.
It brought a lot of people together.
You had to, almost took a big breath. We were able to say, wow, just take a step back and sort of evaluate things as well. So
I think he was happy because I was out at work all the time. That's the truth,
Yeah.
She said it, not me.
I'm only saying what he was thinking.
Absolutely.
So what was your return to cruising when the lockdown ended?
Yeah, so we went on a P&O cruise on Iona, and it was a cruise to nowhere out of Southampton. And when we got on, the captain said, we're just going to sail to
Follow the sun.
sail to the sun, get the best weather. So we ended up going down to off the coast of France and Spain. And literally he just said, there's a rain coming up, we're going to turn and
Change course.
And we just bobbed around for a week. The ship probably had about 2,000 people on, and it holds about, I don't know, it's about five, four and a half,
it was
five.
half full,
Half
50% full. Yeah.
Although we had to wear masks, etc., on board when we were walking around, it was still just great to get back on the ship. Really was.
Yeah, because to be honest, there was a while when we thought cruising could be finished. I'll always remember the footage of all these cruise ships just docked out at sea, just anchored off sea, and no one really knew what the future held, really, for or how long the pandemic would go on for.
Yeah.
So it was a massive relief when eventually, we were able to get back on board.
Yeah.
I think that's a globally. I think it was a big sigh of relief, wasn't it, to get some normality back to our lives.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I went through. There was a time where I had my doubts about the return of cruising. So were you like a lot of? I can tell that you guys are passionate cruisers. Were you like a lot of passionate cruisers that I know who hit the ground running once cruising started back up? Did you cruise a lot, or you just ease into it?
Well, I think it was all down to with your financial situation as well. I mean, I only get the annual leave I'm allowed from work full time. So I'm restricted in how many cruises I can take a year, unfortunately, until I retire or semi-retire. But we did Iona in that 2021. 2022 was after that then. No, it was 21.
We sort of did about 5 in 12 months, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, I would say you hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Not that many people do 5 in 12 months. Now, I have heard of some cruises.
We had a lot of cruise credit to use up.
Yeah. But I've heard of some cruisers who went cruise crazy, but 5 in 12 months is pretty high.
Well, so the year COVID happened, we had a great year lined up in 2020. We were booked to go on Apex on one of its maiden cruises. We'd booked to go on P&O Oceania to Dubai and Abu Dhabi for New Year. So that was something that was our bucket list job. We had a land-based road trip booked for around Iceland to do in that year as well. What was the other one we had? We had another one, didn't we? And of course it was all cancelled. So we'd stored up some credits, if you like, so we were able to sort of. But yeah, it was such a big relief to get back to normality, and I think there was almost like an explosion then of activity, wasn't there? From everybody, even like the ships getting built, and I think cruising now is probably like 50% bigger now net than what it was prior to the pandemic.
There was a backup after cruising started up because you had a lot of new ships that had been built, and didn't get to cruise, or maybe cruise one time before the shutdown. So you had that backup. Plus, they didn't stop working on cruises that were scheduled, that were regularly scheduled, that weren't backed up. So you had riches of new ships coming out once. I know we started up later in the U.S. than you guys.
Yeah, you were
did.
quite a bit behind us, weren't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, we just had new ship after new ship, and it was a great time. So what have you cruised lately, other than Queen Anne? We're going to talk about Queen Anne in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of your recent cruises?
So what we normally do have an annual pilgrimage to the Caribbean, and that's normally our main big 2-week holiday. It's a family holiday, or we go with friends, and that's generally with P&O. So over the years, we've done November cruises to the Caribbean on P&O Azura. We've done it with Britannia a couple of times, P&O Britannia, and more recently we've done Arvia, which was the one we did in November last year. Because P&O do such a great job. I don't know whether you're aware of how P&O operate in the Caribbean. So generally, it's a fly cruise. They charter the planes. You fly to Barbados. You get off the plane, down the steps, straight onto a coach, and then straight off to the ship. It's like a seamless operation.
There's no passport control or anything.
Yeah, there's no immigration and stuff to do. So it's a pretty seamless. And then, because you're doing, it starts in Barbados and finishes in Barbados with an overnight either at the start or at the end. The great thing about that is you get so many islands included in that 2-week cruise, where if you're sailing from Florida, East Caribbean, Western Caribbean, you might only get 3 stops before you have to turn around and come back. So in a typical 2-week cruise on P&O, you get maybe 10 islands. So it's a really port-intensive way of seeing the Caribbean, and we love it, don't we?
Yeah.
So that's what we did in the November of last year, and then prior to that, we did Marella Voyager, which is Marella's new ship. That was in the summer of 2023, and that was a lovely Spanish itinerary. So all the Spanish cities, and many of which we hadn't sailed to before. Well, that was the 2 we'd done before that, and then before that, we did Iona. Up to Hamburg and Amsterdam and Bruges. So that was the 3 we did last year. So we did 3 last year. We're hoping to do 3 or 4 this year, and then next year, who knows?
So
who knows what the future holds.
So you've done a lot of P&O cruises. Do you consider P&O your favorite line?
No, I wouldn't say our favourite. We sailed for many years without doing P&O. We started in 2011. I think our first P&O cruise was 2018, and that was when we did the Caribbean on Azura. That was our first taste of P&O, and since then, for various reasons, most of our cruises have been.
I think it's because they've had a few newer ships. So
as we've mentioned earlier, we like new ships. So Iona came out. We've been on her 3 times. And then Arvia's obviously out, and so we do prefer sort of the newer, bigger ships as well. So I wouldn't say it's our favourite one, but certainly in the recent years, it's been the one we've sailed on the most. But I wouldn't say it's the favourite. You know, they've all got their own qualities. You know, I think all cruise ships have got good points and bad points.
Yeah, because we love Royal Caribbean as well for the entertainment side. We think there's no one better.
Yeah,
than the entertainment on Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, we did Odyssey year before when she was new. We did that in the summer of 22, and she's an awesome ship. And we love Royal Caribbean, like Gail said, because we think the entertainment is like second to none with those guys. So yeah, so P&O's more recent, but you know we'll go wherever based on new ship itinerary. That's our premier decision why we're picking any particular cruise. We're all good, really.
So let's talk about Queen Anne. In the introduction, I mentioned that the naming ceremony for Queen Anne was in your hometown, Liverpool.
It was.
So what's the background? I know Liverpool was named as the godparents.
Which was a shock to us all.
Controversially.
Yeah. So what's the connection with Cunard and Liverpool?
Well, Cunard, it originated from Liverpool. It was where its offices were for over a century. Cunard's home was in Liverpool. There's a building on the waterfront called the Cunard Building, still there. And whenever any Cunard ships come to visit for the day, they'll do a little turn into the river and they'll salute the building before they turn around and leave the estuary. So Cunard's spiritual home, if you like, is Liverpool. All its offices and headquarters now are based in Southampton. But originally, up until I think the late 1960s, all the transatlantic cruises from the UK to the States were done from Liverpool. So that's where the history of very strong links with Liverpool, with Cunard. So that's why it was chosen. The godmother thing, from being given the city the godmothership of Queen Anne, is still a bit controversial with lots of traditional Cunard people. We were expecting someone from the royal family to come and smash the bottle. And it wasn't until actually the second it was announced, no one had a clue it was going to be the city of Liverpool that were godparents. So it's a bit controversial, really. We quite like the idea of it, being from Liverpool. It's a nice gesture from Cunard. I think it's a bit of a coup for the city. But the Cunard traditionalists certainly weren't happy. I think even the people on board who'd taken the British Isles cruise to take in that stop at Liverpool, I think there was quite a bit of disappointment on board about the whole thing with the city getting the godmothership rather than a member of the royal family. But
so those on that cruise didn't know?
Nobody knew.
Wow.
Nobody knew until it was announced on stage. Really, it was such a big, it was almost like a. I mean, there was tens of thousands of people down at the pier head for the event, and it was like a collective sort of, wow, no one had a clue. It was totally kept a secret, wasn't it?
Leaked at all.
Wasn't leaked from anybody. The only people who knew were obviously Cunard, the big wigs of Cunard, and the people who were doing the show. And they had 5 prominent Liverpool females to sort of be the figurehead of the ceremony. One of them, obviously, Sporty Spice, and a couple of. So yeah, it was a good event, and we had Andrea Bocelli performed on stage, and that was something else.
It was amazing.
He's incredible.
Did you have a good seat in the crowd?
Oh, I didn't have a seat.
Close to
we were at the back of the. There was a few people. They had an area at the front which was set out for people who had been handpicked from the crew to sit there to get a nice view of the event. But there was tens of thousands of people there at the pier head. It was all standing room only, really.
Yeah, they had lots of big screens so everybody could see what was going on. And they moved the ship up the river, so it was right outside. So it was just sitting, watching us all. So it was a really good event. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was great. It was a really enjoyable day. And then there was a big gap in between. And then later on, they had the before sail away, they had a massive fireworks display before the ship left. So we went home after the naming event, and then came back for the fireworks. We only live 10 minutes away from the cruise port, so it's very handy for us from where we live. So because we live right near the beach, so we see the cruise ships passing daily, So we were able to nip back to the cruise port later on in the evening and see the ship go with a spectacular fireworks display.
Mm-hmm. And then just a few days later, you boarded Queen.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Tell us all about it.
So this particular cruise started off. It was a 16-night cruise from Southampton round trip, but we boarded halfway through in Civitavecchia for Rome, and we did the final 9 nights back. So we sailed from Rome. We did Alghero in Sardinia. We did Palma in Mallorca. We did Malaga on the mainland Spain. And then the last stop was La Coruña on the very northwestern tip of Spain before back to Southampton.
But the itinerary was really good because it was a port and then a sea day, port and then a sea day. So we had lots of time to explore, but more that for us, we had lots of time to explore the ship because we wanted to see every little inch of it while we were on there.
Yeah.
So you flew to Rome. I'm not going to say the Civic, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because I always mess it up on podcasts.
Yeah.
But you flew to Rome.
Yeah.
Aren't you a lot closer to Southampton? How far is Liverpool from Southampton?
Oh, we're only like 4 or 5 hours drive. But we couldn't take 16 days out of our lives to do the round trip.
Okay.
So we opted for this. We didn't know this was available till quite late on. This 9-night option was there to board in Civitavecchia and do the last 9 nights, which is what we did.
Okay.
And we loved it, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yep.
We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, ship is beautiful, really is.
And well, tell us all about the ship from the time you. Now, first, let me ask. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is your first Cunard ship, right?
It is our very first Cunard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did have an idea what Cunard was going to be like. Maybe a little bit more dressy up in the evening than normal ships we've sailed on. So obviously, Mike had to make sure he had the right clothing for the evening time.
Yeah, we had two gala evenings on our 9-night sail, and one was, and they have them themed on Cunard. The gala nights are themed. So the 2 theme nights we had were red and gold and the Roaring 20s. So I just tweaked my dinner jacket options and had a red dicky bow and a red pocket square and red socks, whatever it was. Gail had a lovely red and gold dress. So it was it's a lot more formal than other lines, as you know, and that's why people go with Cunard. But if I'm being honest, it was less formal than I thought it was going to be. And I don't know whether Cunard have relaxed the rules slightly or made it a bit more relaxed to attract a different type of clientele on board. So it was far more relaxed in those respects than what I was anticipating, really.
I know that some people like the formality. I'm liking what I'm hearing about them relaxing it because Cunard has long been on my bucket list.
Yeah.
But I'm not a very formal guy, you know.
Yeah.
The last time I have a tux, and I have worn a tux on a cruise ship, but it's now been, that was 2018. Yeah. I'm not getting in that tux.
I don't want to put it on again.
Won't fit. Not going anywhere near you. Yeah.
Well, it's not that I don't want to. It's that it's not going to happen. Yeah, I've been retired for the last 3 years, and I suspect I weigh quite a bit more than I weighed in 2018. I have a bunch of suits because my career was in corporate and higher ed, and so I do have. At one time I used to wear a suit every day, so I do have a lot of suits.
From looking at
probably the same story as with my tux.
I think so.
So I suspect when I go on Cunard, I'm gonna have to buy some clothes.
Yeah,
I think absolutely.
I think if you're doing the transatlantic on Queen Mary 2, you would need a tux, but certainly on Queen Anne, I think a suit was fine.
Yeah, so people in our group, a couple of the guys we were with, just had a suit with a tie. As long as you make that kind of effort, I think it's never going to be as relaxed as like your NCLs and people like that. But so on a gala evening, you can wear shorts and a t-shirt, but you're just not allowed to go in certain venues. The buffet will be fine in that circumstance. But I feel. It's not so much on the gala evenings. I think it's more to do with the non-gala evenings. My previous misconception was that you had to have a jacket and a shirt to go for dinner. But now, guys were wearing nice polos, nice pair of chinos, and that was acceptable. So I feel as though Queen Anne, I think they need to attract a different clientele to the Cunard brand. And I just feel like Queen Anne hits the right kind of notes to get that, to attract that kind of new clientele. Because that's Cunard need that. Yeah, the best one in the world. Lots of the Cunard, traditionally the ones who travel a lot on Cunard, the older, they need to change the client base over a period of time. And Queen Anne, I think, addresses that problem.
I even heard recently from someone who's been on Cunard that even on the gala nights, I heard that even on the gala nights, you can still be in shorts and flip flops. You just have to eat
Yeah,
somewhere else.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
artisan
yeah,
food hall.
exactly right. So I think we had a long day in Palma in Mallorca. We'd spent a day. We've been to Palma many times. So we just wanted to go to a beach and chill on the beach. So we stayed there because the ship didn't leave till 9 o'clock at night this particular night. So we stayed on the beach quite late. Got back to the ship, quick change. Didn't fancy getting dressed up. Didn't. So we ended up just in shorts, t-shirts. Went to the buffet. Sat in some of the outside bars, and that was fine. So it's perfectly fine on certain, even on gala nights, to do that on Cunard. I think there's a misconception that it's every night, it's formal, and it's definitely not the case. So don't be worried. If you fancy Cunard, go for it. I think you'll have a ball. I think you'll enjoy yourself.
So talk about the layout of the ship. I mean, take us through, as I said, a virtual tour. What were the highlights of the ship itself?
Well, Cunard have got a couple of new additions to this ship as well. So they've introduced something called the Bright Light Society, which is a small, maybe 100-seat venue where they have this very immersive, innovative sort of performance where you're almost part of the show. I think it's a bit like what Virgin do in some of their entertainment. They've taken a bit of that. That was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, and before the show started, the cast members came round and chatted to us on each tables, and they asked, were you happy to get involved? So you don't need to be worried about someone's going to drag you up on the stage. You can say, no, I don't want to get involved. And lots of people said, yeah, I'd like to. So it is, you're not worried about being on that front row seat and being embarrassed. They won't pull you up if you've said no. So that was really good. And we went to 2 of their shows and we really enjoyed them, didn't we?
And the good thing with normally with shows like that on other ships, you get booked up very quickly. On Cunard, you're only allowed to go and see a show once. So it's fair to everybody. You've seen the show once. You can't go every night. And so it gives everyone a chance. So that was really good, wasn't it? The way they'd organised that.
Yeah. The only issue we found, we thought we would have, was the top deck is split. So the grills, which is that top cabins that people do pay a lot of money, have their own area right in the middle of the ship, top deck. And that was a worry for me, thinking I'd have to then go downstairs to go underneath their deck and up the other side. However, they have left the gate open so you can walk through. I don't know whether that'll carry on going forward. I suppose it depends on how people behave, and people don't take advantage and sit in that area when it is for particular cabins. So at the moment you can walk the top deck all in one go, but that may change.
Yeah, so it's Princess Grill and Queen's Grill passengers. It's this exclusive area, dead centre of the top deck of the ship, and it's full width of the ship as well. So, and it's gated, but non-grills passengers at this moment in time can walk through, but you can't use the facilities in there. And it's right in the middle of the top deck. It's just a bit like, we thought it was maybe a bit of a design fault, but they allow people to walk through. So it's, at the minute, it's not a problem.
So where was the main pool?
Well, they've got 2 pools. They've got a pool in the centre, which has got a retractable roof. It's called the pavilion pool.
That is beautiful. It's a really lovely day and night. They've got a TV screen in there, so they show films. Last week they had the football on.
Yeah.
And in the daytime they've got eateries in there, a burger, hot dog place, and also a wellness cafe on the top where they serve absolutely amazing food, really different,
Healthy.
Healthy.
Now,
healthier? Should we say
healthier?
Yeah.
Is that on the top deck?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's up on. So if you imagine, it's just off centre of the ship, and then the top deck is the wellness cafe looking down onto the pool. And at pool level, you've got something called the Pavilion Grill, and they do chicken burgers, hot dogs, specialty burgers, and they're outstanding. It's probably the best burgers I've had at sea, apart from Guy's Burgers on Carnival, which I still think is the best burger at sea. So so the Bright Light Society and the Wellness Cafe the 2 new additions to Cunard. I think they're a real good addition to the fleet. I think they should roll it out across the other ships. And they were well used as well.
Yeah, and then they have an aft pool, which is really really
It's
nice.
called the Panorama Pool Club. So it's deck 10 at the back, deck 9 at the back. It's a big open deck at the back with a pool, sunbeds right around it. There's 2 high decks that wrap around each side, next level up, and there's a bar there, and the bar's open till late, serving delicious cocktails with lovely aft views out to sea. So that was our favourite spot, wasn't it?
What I liked about it wasn't just sunbeds. They had lots of different chairs and sofas.
Shade, and had shade, shaded areas,
On those 2 tops, it was shaded, and it just felt there was seats for everyone. If you're not someone who likes to sit in the sun all day, there was lovely comfy seats where you could read a book, but you could still be near a bar and look at the views up the aft.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to just the way they've done it. Really, really lovely area.
So you mentioned the Bright Lights
Society,
and with the small venue, what was the main theater? I assume they had a big...
Yeah, so that's Royal Court Theatre, it's called. That's a classic theatre at sea, if you like. There wasn't an upper level; it was all on one level. There's quite a few complaints about the angle of the seats are quite shallow. So and the stage is quite low. So I think if you don't pick your seat, get lucky enough to get a good seat, all you end up seeing is the back of someone's head. So that's there's been complaints about that, hasn't there?
Yeah.
About the theatre. If they just set the stage maybe a metre or 2 higher, so it was right up high, it wouldn't have been an issue. But the furthest the front of the theatre that you sit, the worse the view is, because you look quite low and the stage is quite low as well. So yeah, the entertainment was good. We enjoyed some of the shows.
What was the entertainment like?
Typical, I would say, classic sort of entertainment, theatre shows, singing and dancing. They had a couple of comedians on. They had some great musicians on. And the great thing about the theatre is on Cunard is they have these Cunard Insight lectures. So they have lectures in the morning. Port enrichment light. So if you're going to the port next day, there'll be an expert on telling you all about the stop next day, and they'll have a couple of stars on. So on our particular cruise, are you familiar with a band called Ultravox? You maybe not.
No.
So remember Live Aid?
Yes.
Remember the Live Aid event? So the guys who organised Live Aid was a guy called Bob Geldof.
I know him.
And Midge Yaw was the other guy, Midge, and he was also the lead of the band called Ultravox, and he did a couple of insight talks in the theatre. So the theatre's busy all day with talks and enrichment lectures and stuff like that. So, and that's pretty unique to Cunard, really, to have so many and it's always full. The theatre's always full. I just think they've made a mistake with the theatre, with the pitch of the seats, if you know what I mean. I just think it's almost as though they designed a theatre, but no one's actually sat in them before they've signed it off.
Right.
And there was lots of complaints from people, about that. But yeah, other than that, it was entertainment on board was good. And the Bright Light Society, hats off to those guys. It's only a cast of 5 people.
Oh, okay.
And there's 2 shows. There was one called Noir, which was outstanding, and one called Fizz. Very different shows, but very much involving the audience and getting people involved.
And they were like what? Comedians, magicians.
It was a bit like it's like so Noir was more like a story about someone who'd been murdered. It was like a murder mystery thing.
Okay.
But they're getting people out the audience to get involved. It was but only like people who were willing to do it. There's no pressure on anybody to do it. And if you look at the reviews on Noir, it's the reviews are very good. So yeah, we loved it. Yeah, so it's a great addition to the Cunard brand. I think that particular place.
But one thing I know a lot of us are wondering about. Talk about the food.
Well, the food and the Artisans Food Hall, aka the buffet, I really love it. It's all behind glass and you are served. And I know a lot of people had mentioned it previously. They don't like that. They like to choose their own food. But I think it's a great idea, not only for the hygiene side of it, but also for portion sizes. There was no problem in saying, can I have more chips, or could I have another piece of chicken?
Sure.
You know, they weren't making the meals small, but I like the way they did it, and they had it sectioned off into different areas for different types of food. So you could go and have pasta, but they'd have the bread there. So you didn't like have to walk around the whole buffet to find a meal that matched. So that's what I liked about it. And I thought the breakfasts were probably the best breakfast we've had at sea for a buffet.
Yeah, it was really
The ingredients that they had was
I found as well, it was not really even at peak times. There wasn't like massive queues in the artisan food hall like you'd expect on other ships. We've experienced on other ships. I don't really remember ever queuing up for anything.
No, maybe one or two people. And the other thing I like about it is all the tables are set with your knives and forks, your cups. So if you don't want to make your own coffee at the machine, they'll come round and pour it for you. So I think that is really good. And especially we've got one friend that is on 6, so can't go on crutches, should I say. So can't always go up to get a cup of tea because he's on his crutches. So I think it's good in that way that you can just ask somebody to pour you a coffee at your table. So I like that. The
crew members are very attentive down there. So as soon as you've finished your coffee, they'll bang the refills. There's a refill there, you know. So you don't always get that on cruise. Normally a buffet is a bit of a free-for-all. You go and get your knife and fork from you get your plate. It's a bit more civilized. So even though it's a buffet, it's quite a civilized buffet. You know what I mean?
What about the main dining rooms?
Yeah, so the main dining room is the Britannia dining room for the majority of guests on board. It's a beautiful 2-story restaurant. You have fixed time eating for evening dinner in the bottom floor, and you have any time dining upstairs. And we thought the food was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We thought the food. There were a couple of occasions maybe it wasn't as warm as you'd like. It was a bit like you think, it could have been hotter. But I think that can happen in most most main dining rooms. Normally the food's coming from like 300 meters away from one end of the ship to the other, so you can almost get that. But I thought the choices were good. We thought the quality was good, portion size was good, and the service. After a few teething problems on the maidens, I mean, we watched Paul and Carol and Gary Bembridge, people like that who've done the maiden cruises on Queen Anne. We found no service issues at all. I think they've really got their act together, thankfully. So we were impressed, weren't we, with that? Yeah.
Do you guys patronize the specialty restaurants?
We did on this occasion, yeah. We're not normally.
We normally do one specialty restaurant per cruise, but we did 2 on this because you were desperate to go for a steak.
Yeah, so I've always never done Cunard. I've always been a bit of a fan of the veranda on Cunard, which is their steakhouse, and Sir Samuel's is their new version, if you like, the Queen Anne version of the veranda. So we tried that on our last night on our last night, and it was excellent, really good. We paid $58.50 each cover charge, and it was excellent, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would give it 10 out of 10. It really was.
Service was it was world class. The service we got.
It was just a little bit extras, like I had Dover sole.
So we went to a steak restaurant. Gail doesn't like steak, which is a big problem. So thankfully they had fish on the menu.
Yeah. So I had a Dover sole, which they cooked it in the kitchens, but then they came out with it on a trolley, the maitre d', and he fully boned it in front of me. And it was just a really nice experience. They could have done it.
How he did it as well.
Showing us how he cut the little sides off, and it was just really lovely the way he moved each bit of the fish across, and he took the bone and put it all back together. It was the attention to detail in there.
Yeah.
I think that we enjoyed. It was lovely.
And I had a fillet steak. I could have gone for a 10-ounce ribeye or a 10-ounce sirloin, but I just wanted a fillet steak, which I think was only a 6-ounce fillet steak. But it was like a knife through butter, you know. It was beautiful. It was cooked medium rare. It was absolutely delicious. And then I had the the famous Cunard rum bar for dessert. Now, in the past on Cunard, they would actually set fire to it, to turn the alcohol to burn the alcohol off. But health and safety dictates they can't do that anymore. So, but they bring the cake, they bring the trolley out, little sponge cake, some chantilly cream, and you have 3 bottles of rum, and you choose which rum you want to put on over the top of your sponge. So I went for the Mount Gay one, the strongest one. What's the strongest one? That one. That's the one I'm having. Big double measure, poured over the top. It was absolutely divine. It was. So it was a good experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Really enjoyed it. I think it was worth every penny.
Yeah,
experience.
and I think it's had some bad press. I think in the early stages of I think Paul and Cal had a particularly bad experience in there, which they seem to have got their act together anyway. So, and then the other one we did was Tramonto, which is their Mediterranean specialty restaurant, which is located at one end of the artisan food hall, the buffet. And that's only like $18 a head, so it's quite well priced. We found the menu a bit limited. There's five main course items and 1 vegetarian course, but out of the 5 non-vegetarian courses, 3 were fish, leaving you with like a chicken dish, which is like a chicken escallop in breadcrumbs. The other one was lamb, wasn't it?
I think so.
It was lamb. So that we found the menu was a bit limited. Service again, spot on, but we just found the menu a bit limited really to what we would have liked. I enjoyed everything we got was good, and we enjoyed it. We would have liked a bit more choice on the menu really, and at $18, really you can't really complain, can you? To be honest,
no, that's pretty good.
So both experiences good, and for different reasons really. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
So it sounds like this first foray into Cunard was very successful. Are you in a hurry are you anxious to try another Cunard ship?
Well, on my bucket list, because we're still going to sort of bucket list cruises, a transatlantic on QM2 is something I really want to do. Just to say I've done it really. The formality thing, I'm a bit like you. I'm not really a big fan of it, but you go on there for the occasion. If you go on the Cunard, you sort of have to just accept that's the way they are, and embrace it really. And it's quite nice to see how many people do take pride in taking part in that side of things. So the Queen Mary 2 is one we'd definitely consider in the future. And Queen Anne, it's definitely ticked the box in terms of being a bit more modern, bit more polish, more options than what you get on the other queens. So yeah, we thoroughly enjoyed it, and 100% we're doing Cunard again. We just don't know when or which ship it will be, but we're definitely going to be doing it again, 100%.
So let's talk a little bit about the future. Some great ships are out in 24 and coming out in 25. You just did one of them. Mm-hmm. Any others that you are very anxious to try?
Well, I was looking at Star for next year. Star Princess. Because it's my big birthday. But
yeah, she's 21. She's 21 next year. So
if only. So I was looking at that.
You know the right thing to say, Mike.
I do, yeah. Well trained.
However, I think because of the issues they had with the new ship with Sun this year, they've cancelled a couple, and it's not going to be in the Med until late summer.
Yeah,
early autumn.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to be going on that, but that would be one I wanted to do.
And I quite
so Star is the successor to Sun Princess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But the dates have been moved back, so it doesn't really fit in with our
summer.
With our summer really. So and that's really the only one for next year. We quite like that. New ships, isn't it? That we like. I would have liked to have done the new Virgin ship, but it's going straight over to America, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not doing anything in Europe. When it's made, it's going straight over to there. So we'll miss out on that. And I'm sure Gail will love Virgin once we've done Resilient in August. Like many people who've done Virgin say, it's just blew everyone away, hasn't it? With how good it is.
It certainly did for me. So you're going on Resilient in August.
in August. Yeah.
What else do you have booked?
And then in November, we're flying to New York. It's my first time in New York. Gail's been before. And we get on board Enchanted Princess. And then we sail from New York down to the Caribbean and do a little 2-week cruise around the Caribbean, finishing in Fort Lauderdale. So we normally do the P&O thing, as we said earlier, but on this occasion, we're doing Enchanted Princess for a change, really, more than anything else. So really looking forward to that.
Do you have time set aside to do New York, or you only a day?
Yeah, we've got a couple of nights, haven't we?
Yeah.
In New
Yeah,
York.
we've got about 2.5 days there before we board. Should be
Okay.
enough time just to see them. Well, I'd say I've seen them, but
I've never been before.
Take them around the major attractions, really. So that really looking forward to that.
And again, as Gail and I and some of our friends are going on that, so it's more of like the big holiday of the year, really. It's quite difficult when you're with friends to vlog things properly, as you can appreciate. You know, you don't want to have your camera in everyone's face all the time, so it's quite you tend to do less vlogging when you're on a normal vacation with friends. It's a bit more difficult, but we'll try our best to do it.
So you had friends go with you on previous cruises, and you got friends going with you on this upcoming cruise.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered a group cruise?
Yeah, it's something definitely for the future. We'll get our subscribers built up a bit more and get more people involved in a Facebook group. We've been speaking to a local travel agent who's a really good guy. I think the long-term plan is ultimately to offer group cruises to our followers, but I don't think we're at that stage numbers-wise where we can make that a success. I don't want to try it too early and then if it flops. I'd rather make sure we were in the right in sort of healthy numbers where we'll attract enough people to make it a success and to make it people want to do it again. So 100%, it's the target moving forward for Sail with Gail and Mike is to push on the next 12 months, 18 months, see where the numbers are, and then hopefully be in a position to offer a group cruise to our followers. Seems to be the way to go.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, how can listeners follow Sail with Gail and Mike on social media and the internet?
So if you just search on Instagram, just for Sail with Gail and Mike. We're quite active on there. Same with Facebook, really. So Facebook, Instagram, Threads. Just search Sail with Gail and Mike, and we've got a page and a group on Facebook, and then same with TikTok, and then YouTube is the main one. If you haven't gone over there and subscribed, please head over there and hit that little triangular button and subscribe. It would really help us out, really. So they're the main platforms for us: Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, and YouTube, and a little bit on Twitter. But Twitter's a bit less relevant, really, to what we're doing. But everything's going in the right direction. We're adding followers, we're adding subscribers. Like everyone, you want it to be quicker, don't you? You want more. You know, it's human nature, I suppose.
Well, hopefully, after your episode airs, we'll get you a few more.
Hopefully, yeah,
listeners. So, hey, you alluded to your bucket list earlier. What's on your cruise or travel in general bucket list?
So on mine, I want to go to Asia, and that's my plan for next year. So whether we'll get there or not, I don't know, but that's the plan, to do a couple of weeks around Asia.
Yeah, that's probably going to be sort of Easter early next year. We just haven't got the right sort of. We've got a cruise in mind. It's going to be probably
Easter or November.
Yeah,
you need to go either end because of the weather out there.
So you either go early in the year or late in the year. I'm looking at, there's a nice celebrity cruise that goes out and takes in Singapore and Thailand and Vietnam and ends up in Hong Kong. That's on Gail's bucket list. My bucket list, I've always wanted to go Australia, New Zealand. There's not that many options, cruises out that way currently, really. French Polynesia, some amazing stops, some amazing places to see around there. And the Panama Canal, I always wanted to do a cruise, or maybe down that side, Mexico and up the Panama Canal. So that's that's my bucket list.
Yeah.
And Queen Mary 2 transatlantic. I've got too many, Paul. I've got so many bucket lists, like yourself.
I got that same problem.
And just asking you a question. So what was your verdict with Virgin?
Oh man,
then? What was your?
I have nothing but positive things to say. After one cruise, Virgin became my favorite cruise line.
Wow.
And how did you find it, Paul? Because I think you had about 8 sea days.
I loved it. Yeah, we started with 8 sea days, and that was, for me, that was perfect. Now my wife, she around the 6th day, she started saying, I need land. But I was just enjoying trying everything. And they have, so there's no specialty restaurants. I'm sure you know that. Or there's no specialty restaurants that you pay for. So you still have to book them, and they're still hard to get into. We did go to a couple of them more than once, but we couldn't go more than once to all of them. But specialty restaurants were all, on par or better than specialty restaurants on other cruise lines. But then they had a really good selection of complimentary food options, similar to what you described on Cunard. It was kind of a food hall. It was sort of like a hybrid food hall buffet, because you could go in there and sit down and get served and never get out your seat. Or you can walk up to individual stations, get your food, and never sit down, walk out with it. So it was, and we tended to like to go up to the stations to see, because it was just, and they would have, at each of the stations, they would have specials of the day. Now, the specials would be mentioned on the menu that you get when you sit down, but we wanted to see the specials.
See what they look like.
So we did a lot at it's called the galley. So we did a lot at the galley. And the good thing about the galley is it was open essentially 24 hours. Now, all the stations weren't open.
But there's always something to eat.
But like the breakfast station stayed open. So you could order an omelet at 3 a.m.
Oh, God.
But then they had other places with food. They had a place called the Social Club, where you can get popcorn and chicken wings. And then they had a place called the Dock. It was nice inside. There usually was a musician playing. But then there were nice tables outside, which was at the back of the ship, and you could get order nice finger foods, complimentary finger food. So there was plenty to eat. It was very different. They had, the activities were nonstop. I mean, nonstop. And it would be, trivia games and bingo and what have you. One thing that is, they don't have a cruise director. Each ship has a diva, which is someone in drag. They lead a lot of the activities. The diva does bingo, for instance. It's slightly more risque than other cruise lines, but not in a big way. There's very little that would make you uncomfortable. Now, I heard when they first started, it was a lot different. It was a lot more sexually suggestive. And they were aiming for an 18 to 35-year-old demographic. But on the one I was on transatlantic. And I said to a guy that I met, I said, I would say looks like about the average age is, well, no, I wouldn't tell him what I thought. I wanted to know what he thought to see if I was off. The number I had in my mind was 55. And he said, looks like about 55 to 60.
Like Gail.
So, that was right what I was thinking. And so there's not a whole lot of 18 to 35-year-olds. I think they gave up on trying to appeal specifically to that crowd. So, and also I think they've given up on a lot of the early sexually suggestive stuff. So other than the fact that there's no kids, it's very much, like other cruise lines, but they do a lot of things differently. So before we let you go, Gail and Mike, a couple of fun cruise questions that I always ask, just to get some. The first one is just to get some ideas, and I usually follow up on these ideas. So what's your favorite cruise drink and cruise food?
Oh,
you go first, Gail.
Well, I don't really drink alcohol a lot, not as much as Mike.
Okay.
But I do love a pina colada.
There you go.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
You know what you like.
Hey, Gail, have you tried Miami Vice? Do you know what that is?
Oh no, I haven't tried it.
It's a pina colada mixed with a strawberry daiquiri.
Oh right.
Well, she likes a strawberry daiquiri
Yeah,
as well.
I like strawberry daiquiri. Oh right.
Yeah.
Putting that down on my list.
And which line does that, Paul?
All lines make. That's pretty common drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Miami Vice.
And I'm a bit partial to a decent mojito.
Okay.
I like a mojito.
Yeah.
And over the years, the one that sticks in my mind, I had so on Carnival Vista. On Carnival, they have a bar at the back called. Well, they have the Havana Suites. Have you been on the what class of ship is it on Carnival? Anyway, they have the Havana bar at the back, and they have an Havana bar pool at the back, and Havana Suites. It's like a district, if you like. And the Havana bar does the most amazing mojitos. So that's the one that sticks in my mind. Although I will say, I've just sampled for the first time ever the Cunard Spritz, which is basically a gin and tonic. So it's gin based. So it's the Cunard's own brand of gin. You put Aperol in it, some special Japanese sake ingredients, and a ribbon of cucumber in the glass, and it's beautiful. So I had my first one on the first night on the Queen Anne, and I filled my boots. Yeah, it was delicious. So if you're ever on Cunard, you must sample the Cunard Spritz. In terms of food, over the years, the thing that sticks in my memory from all our cruises is we had a great meal in Sir Samuel's, but more sort of everyday food is Guy's Burger Joint on Carnival. Guy's Burgers
I love Guy's.
Yeah, it's fabulous. So if you it's nothing too sort of sophisticated, but when a long day in port, you get back on that ship, all you're thinking about
is a Guy's
Burger. So that's my favorite.
Hey, second question: what's your most memorable, or funniest, or even most embarrassing cruise or port experience?
We struggled with this one.
But then one did pop into mind quick. So on Queen Anne, the entertainment lady came round and said, "We're going to do our first ever Zumba in the pool. God, would you like to join us?" And we said, "Oh, all right." And and she was giving us that look like, "Please, I'm trying to start something up." So we said, "Yeah." And then they made an announcement saying, "Please get in the pool if you want to do it, because it's
the first ever Zumba class on Cunard
and there's only so many spaces." So they made out like there's 20 people interested and only 10 places. So we dive up, get in there. And there ends up only being me and Mike and my two friends, and about 400 people watching us. But we were it wasn't a rough sea day, but sometimes the pools have that swell in them.
The pool was.
Well, we're trying to do Zumba, but the pool was taking us down into the deep end and back, so that was quite embarrassing. But we laughed, and I think we kept quite a few people entertained. So
yeah, absolutely,
that was good.
There's a social media saying photos or it didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it has been videoed. Yeah, so I won't be very quick to share it though. Memorable moments. Going back to when we sailed on Carnival Breeze out of Barcelona on Breeze, and we sailed into Venice. And now Venice ships aren't allowed into anywhere near Venice anymore. So we sort of knew this. So when we realised we were going to sail into the lagoon, we thought, well, this is going to be quite a special moment. And we had, do you know John Heald? So John Heald was on this ship was the cruise director. And as we approached Venice, he did this amazing commentary. Like 2 hours before we were coming into port. He's got a really unique way with words, John has. And I just remember everyone was sitting around and watching the ship as it approached Venice. He was telling us all the stories about the tide and the floodplains and the damage, the problems that they suffer. And it was really stuck in my mind how he made that sailing to Venice special. And I always think, God, I wish I'd have recorded it, or I wish I'd have, because now, like, it's never going to, you're never going to have that experience again. And as we sailed right through into Venice, he just made the whole thing special. So that's one of the things that sticks in my mind about memorable, was that. Yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it?
He's such a lovely man.
He is, yeah. He's a great guy. You have to get him on. You have to get him on, Paul. Try and get him on.
I've tried. I've tried.
Yeah,
I have a wish list.
Yeah,
of people that I have tried for quite some time. He's on that wish list.
Yeah, but he's got some stories to tell.
The last question, I call this an oddball question in that it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with cruising. So first of all, I know you have a large following, so welcome to Sail with Gail and Mike followers and friends who are listening. We hope you have enjoyed what you have heard, and we'll come back to the Joy of Cruising podcast to check out other episodes. Gail and Mike, share one thing that my listeners and your followers don't know about Gail and Mike.
This is a hard one.
This is quite, because we're quite open, really. We sort of share everything about what we do, but you might be surprised. So people who know us, I'm a big advocate for the Liverpool cruise terminal. Ships come, we're not a massive cruise terminal building, but we get through the summer, we get lots of ships just visiting for the day and go. So we're always down there taking videos and, waving people off. It's just what we do. And people might not ever believe that, although we live in Liverpool and we love it and we're down there most days, we've never actually sailed out of Liverpool, either to or from. We've never sailed into our home city or sailed out of it. So that's the one thing I would say people might be surprised. Seems we're such a big, we're always sort of highlighting the fact that the ships are in and we're down here. We've never actually climbed onto a ship that's gone in or out of Liverpool. That's probably the most surprising thing.
Sounds like that's something that needs to be on your bucket list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is actually.
Well, Gail and Mike, it is so good to get to meet you.
Likewise.
Thank you for coming on the Joy of Cruising podcast. I suspect you're going to be continuing to do some interesting cruising, and I would love to have you back at some point in the future.
Well, anytime, Paul, we'd be delighted.
All right. Well, all the best to sail with Gail and Mike. And as I like to say, I'll see you on the ocean.
Thanks, Paul.
Oh, thanks so much. Bye.
Thanks so much.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99, can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.